Hi, welcome to the Coffee Chat Show here on Buzzing Pattaya, the show where we talk about things that are happening right here, right now, as well as general news, tips, information and advice. Now, welcome back to part two. Joining me is Neil from Real Divers. How you doing, my man?
Trev. All right, mate. How are you? Fine, thank you, mate.
Good. Now, in part one, you shared about you were like a bit of a South End boy and a real estate agent.
Yes, mate.
You came out here and you've been diving, etc. I mean, when you were younger, we spoke about this in part one, obviously you didn't sort of visualise that you would spend most of your life being a diver, a diving instructor.
Yeah.
I mean, when you came over here and you decided that you were going to get involved, I mean, how difficult, what were the steps involved from like being a complete newbie novice, never set foot in the water, to now being a diving master?
I just see staff instructor now, mate, which is the same sort of thing there, yeah. It was weird because my old man, first time he ever took us diving, just hired out a boat. There was me and my brother, a couple of local friends, and we went out to Koh Larn. And the old man just jumped straight in with the kit, like just suited me up. My brother was clever, he'd grabbed the beer, so he got like stood down, so here we go. And I'm on this bloody boat, looking down at this water with all this kit on, and it weighs about, I don't know, 12, 13 kilos.
Does it? Wow.
And I'm like, am I just going to sink straight down? Like? And I was like, the old man's going, get in the water. And I'm like, yeah, it's better I do get in. Like, so bang, went in there, mate. You do some basic skills where they teach you what they call is the regulator. That's your breathing apparatus. If it comes out, how to replace it and clear the water. Then you do a basic skill which you're going to see when you come out on the boat is if water gets into your mask, how to clear it out. Very easy to do. I wasn't a best student, to be honest, and I sort of fumbled through it.
Yeah.
But I used to do a lot of surfing down Cornwall and Devon, so I was used to being on the sea, but not under it.
Yeah.
And when I was actually on the dive, my biggest fear was running out of air, I think, like most people. So I had my air gauge like this, and the old man's pointing out these angelfish, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good on there, I'm good on there. Well, we did a 25 minutes up back on the boat, mate. And the old man's looked at me and he goes, don't give up your day job in London, son. He goes, I don't think you're going to quite make it. So I did manage to prove the old man wrong. It's a bit daunting because you hear all the Jaws stories, etc. And I mean, that's complete Hollywood rubbish there. With the training which we do now, or which Paddy, who's we're part of their organisation, it's so safe. It really is safe. If you follow the rules and the regulations and your training procedures, very limited chance of something going wrong.
Is a lot of diving like mind over matter? Because like for me, I mean, I remember when my boy came out here and we went off and we did one of those glass bowls on your head where they push you under water. Yeah. And I mean, I must admit, I was okay. I was more worried about my boy, and he was just like, "Oh, Dad, this is brilliant." And I'm thinking, "Sonny, you're going to be okay because we're under the water." I mean, is a lot of the issues with people perhaps maybe steering away from going diving is because of the fear factor?
Definitely. We're not supposed to be breathing underwater. So the first part of any form of training, whether it's in the pool or the ocean, we have got to go through a calming procedure. And how we do this, we introduce you to all the equipment. So you've got a full understanding of the dive equipment. We then give you information about what's going to happen to your body. Not that much, but just to let you know about equalization and breathing techniques. Once we get the guys in the shallows, we sit there and we just breathe for a few minutes. Because you've got a mask on there and you can't use your nose. So you've got to teach them to breathe in and out of the mouth. Once the guys have got that calmed, we do very slow demonstrations, as I was saying before, about the breathing apparatus, if it came out, how to replace it, and the mask, and then we're on the dive. That's what they call Discover Scuba Diving.
Okay.
If you're doing the PADI course, level 1 is the open water. And what we do there is everything is done online now. So the student signs up with us, we send them the access codes, and they sit at home, wherever in the world, do the theory, which takes about 12 hours to complete.
Wow. So
they've got a lot of knowledge. Then we've got a beautiful private swimming pool we take the guys down to, where again we show them how to assemble, pre-dive safety checks on buddies, going into the water, again going over the breathing part. Then we go more into the skills, which is a bit more intense because they're on the course. We do approximately about 20, 24 diving skills, and at the end of it they're taking equipment off on the surface, underwater. They're simulating they've got a cramp, they're towing their buddies. As you go through the program, the students relax like anything and it gets easier and easier. When we go to the ocean, we make the first 2 dives, which is no deeper than 12 meters.
12 meters?
That's the maximum we can take the student on the
you
first 2.
You say that like it's 12 foot, I'm thinking you're going to say
43 feet, isn't it?
12 meters? We
don't always go that deep. We look at it on the individual. Some people want to go down there. Some people want to work their way down slowly. So really we talk to the students, we've got to know the students, and then we're based the dives on their needs and their enjoyment. Normally by the time you're on the last day, you've got an option if you want to go down to 18 meters. If you do, that's fine. If not, that's no problem at all. It's totally flexi on the student, but it's a little bit fun going a bit deeper because you see different fish life. One of them, we actually saw a grouper, which was nearly bigger than me, mate. It was huge.
Really?
Yeah, great big rays down there. You often see there's so many turtles in Pattaya Bay. Absolutely full of turtles down there, yeah.
You mentioned a minute ago about online, they do a 12-hour, I mean, without going into huge detail, I mean, when you say 12 hours, I mean, what kind of stuff do you have to be prepared for?
Okay, so what you'll do is you'll watch these little videos. They'll show you the training section, and then you'll read through the knowledge, and then you've got a 1 to 10, A, B, C, D, whatever your exam answer is going to be. By doing this, it really does help the student because they don't have to do the 12 hours in a row. They can stop. So you might do 20 minutes, freeze it and shut it down, go and do something else, come back the next day. As long as you've completed the 5 knowledge reviews and the 5 examination, that's when you're ready to go into the swimming pool and onto the ocean dives.
Okay. One thing I wanted to ask you about, and I want to talk more about, is we're kind of like leaning towards people now that want to be a bit more than just a casual, let's just go and have a crack kind of thing. I know we've spoke about this, and coming up in the not too distant future, I am going to be going out there and having a go at this beginner's course. But what I want to do is, I actually, the reason I want to do this course is because I think a lot of people watching this, like myself, will think, oh man, I can't be going doing all that stuff. You know, you've got all this gear going on, I'm under the water. But there's a lot more, what I would call relaxed things that you can do in the water that are just as much fun.
Yeah, mainly is what we do now is we teach a lot about snorkeling, about skin diving. Also free diving is getting very popular, especially with the younger generation. These guys, I'm not so good at that myself, but they've got these huge fins on, mate, and one of our guys teaches this. And they can get down to like 20, 25 meters. I've been on a shipwreck at 30 meters, and this guy, he's just come along like this waving. And I mean, this guy could hold his breath for 2 to 3 minutes, and you'd watch him go, he was a Russian lad, he'd go shooting up, and then he'd come down. But if you ever got a problem, he knew the procedures. We've always got a spare air here. So if anything happens to your teammate, or your buddy, as we call them, every diver has an alternative air source. So if anyone had a problem, like a skin diver, etc., we can shove it in, and then bring them up to the surface,
bring them
mate.
up.
Yeah.
So they hold their breath for like 2, 3 minutes?
Some of these guys are absolutely amazing, mate.
Wow.
The way they stay down and move, and obviously they have to do specialised training for this. The best thing is to go online, enroll in a school who teaches this, and obviously you're going to start on shallower depths. The main problem these guys face is underwater blackouts as they're coming up to the surface. They can get into a few complications in. So when we know guys are doing this, we normally have a few support divers in, just in case something happens, and we can grab the bloke and get him to the top.
I'm not so sure I want to do this now. It's scary.
You'll be all right, mate. It's designed for 10-year-olds upwards.
Well, all I'm worried about, I'm not actually worried about the diving. I'm worried about if someone tries to harpoon me, if they see me and think, look at that whale over there.
That's one thing about in Thailand. Sometimes you might get the odd local, but very rare. I think there's rules and regulations set by the royal family where you can't do this. I could be wrong, so don't hold me to that, guys. But very rare do you see a guy doing any form of harpooning out here.
Yeah.
I think maybe different other countries, okay, different rules, different regulations. Sometimes you'll see them and they look at the dive boat, and you'll get the divers like this, giving it the Victorian stare like this, and then sort of like they pack up, bye-bye, mister, and they're gone there, Obviously, if you do see one, be careful, try and keep out of his range of fire. We tend to keep them in front and we'll stay behind them. But it's very rare we ever see these guys.
Can we do my course in a swimming pool?
Of course you can, mate.
I don't like the idea.
You can see the blue tailed fish there, mate.
Well, I'm just thinking about this guy with a harpoon ready to shoot me.
Very, very rare. It's more like they go onto the sands, they're looking for rays and stuff there. We're on the corals, and then that's where the smaller fish is, so they're not really going to make much of a decent lunch for them.
So let's talk about newbies like myself, people that have never experienced. I mean, where do we go? Are we going to go to some of the islands? I mean, what kind of things will we experience?
For the newbies, obviously subject to the weather and the waves, which is hopefully going to look better because we're ending monsoon.
Yeah.
We like to go to the Pattaya near islands. There's no deep drop off. It's really nice sandy bottoms. With our speedboat, we've got a custom built speedboat designed we can get right into the shallow water.
Nice.
So there's no long swims, there's no jumping off platforms that I had to do. We go down a little steps, the guys put your fins on and you're in about 2 meters of water. Then we're going to about 1.5 meters, and the first thing we do is we just lay on the surface and we just breathe, get used to breathing. Once you've done that, that's when we go underneath the water and go through the breathing operations there, or the exercises there, yeah. The idea of being a diver is always keeping your head.
I'm just thinking that now, you've got to stay calm.
It's very team orientated, because it's like you go in as a team, you come back as a team. If one member's got a problem, everybody would be there. But I've been diving for 22 years, and we've never had any fatalities, we've never had any guys in decompression centres, etc. If you do your training and you stick by your training, you're going to have a really good time down there. It's only if you step over the mark into what they call no man's land, then you might need a little bit of extra help.
I mean, you mentioned about the dives. I mean, you've mentioned there's some quite deep ones, 30 odd meters. Are you still able to have visibility at that level?
Yes, yeah, you're obviously, as you go deeper, the visibility will reduce because you're losing the sunlight, so colours will start changing. You'll lose the bright colours and you'll start seeing more dark colours.
Okay. So it's like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah, basically. You'll lose like the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and as you get down there, I mean, you can see crystal clear. The deepest dive I ever did was on a vertical shipwreck. The ship had sank like this.
Yeah.
And this was completely out in the ocean. You could see no land. It was crystal gin clear water. I did a 50-meter dive, and I could look up and see the guys on the surface. It was so good visibility. I could see the Trimix guys on this different gas down there at 60. And it was an unbelievable dive. Normally in Pattaya, when we dive the shipwrecks here, they start at 22 meters.
Right.
They'll go down to like 28 meters.
Right.
There you'll get, say, between 5 meters to about 8 meters. If you get a really good day, you could even get 15 meters, but it doesn't always happen like that. When you're on the coral sites, depending on the weather and the season, it can be anywhere roughly between, say, about 8 meters up to about 15 meters as well.
Wow, incredible. I mean, when you're under the water, I mean, I guess the other question is, I mean, we obviously like finding Nemo. Does Nemo live out here?
Yeah, he does. There's plenty of little Nemos out there, mate. Yeah,
really?
If you actually find them, you'll find the anemone nest, and just gently you do this, and the little Nemo will come out, and he's like a chicken. He's going cluck, 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 cluck. Yeah,
really?
They make like a clucking sound, like.
But you can't touch them, can you? Because they sting you.
What it is, they normally will make a nest on a sea urchin for their protection. So if you go and plunge your hand in, you've just hit the urchin, which is very painful. Also, we always say to anyone, do not touch anything down there, because some people have allergies. And someone might be all right, they could touch something down, and someone could, and you end up in the Pattaya hospital. So what we do is, from day one, we teach all divers is to video, photography, but touch zero down there.
Yeah. I mean, what about the jellyfish? Do you get many jellyfish?
We do, in the rainy season, yeah, we do get the jellyfish. The jellyfish tend to be a couple of meters to the surface. We've all been stung by them.
Have you?
And it sounds a bit crude, but urine is the best measure. Again, obviously, you'll take precautions, like when we pull up at a dive site, first thing we do is we do a little bit of a reconnaissance. We check the environment before we put anybody in. Normally, one of us guys would jump in, just do a little quick recce, have a look around, and then get back up, and then just advise the teams before they get in, yeah.
So going back to your remedy.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just picturing in my head now what the possible picture could be. So someone's stung by a jellyfish. You take them out of the water, lay them down on the floor in the boat and say, look, sorry son, take one for the team.
We actually had a mate of mine, his name's Francis, we call him Franny. And he got stung around here.
Oh, no.
It was actually quite a bad one. He was coming up from the wreck, he didn't see it, and he got hit around here.
Oh, man.
We was quite far out. We was on the outer islands. They're about 21 clicks out. And we noticed he started to swell up. Obviously, being in the neck area, you've got to be careful. We actually had a guy who was actually from the British Army, who was a paramedic out there. Thank goodness he was there. And he basically said, right, lads, anyone who's a bit sick, jog on. Anyone who's all right, mate, in the toilets and pee in this bottle. So we all peed in the bottle. Well, he put it on old Fanny's neck, and straight away it started working. And then I rang my old man up, and we got a speedboat out to evacuate him, and he was fine. After that, he was always known as Golden Shower.
I mean, that's a story he can't tell anyone, can he?
No,
like,
mate, no. You
I've
sort
got
of like
stung by this jellyfish. How did it happen? How did they cure you?
The whole team up there, actually, we're all emergency first responder instructor trainers. So we've got a bit of experience. We're not Dr. Kildare or anything like that. We've got full-on oxygen. We're trained in oxygen use. We've got very, very packed out medipacks, which we all know how to do. We also have emergency protocol that if anything did go wrong, and it very rare does, but if it did hit the fan, we know exactly what to do.
Right.
Who to contact. Also giving out location of where you are, etc., etc. And this is what we actually teach our rescue divers to go through emergency assistant plans, not just to know about boats, but know where you need, like local hospitals, local marine police, etc. If there was a problem, it's better to know how to get them out than fumble about.
You're talking about rescues there, which is a good point, because I was going to ask you, do you remember about the kids that were rescued in the cave?
I certainly do, yes.
I mean, I'm trying to get my head around how it must have been for the rescuers to go in not being out at sea and having to take the cylinders off and push them ahead, and then of course with the kids and the teacher there to get them back out.
Those guys are absolute legends. Everyone who's involved in it. See, a lot of the guys just look at the rescue team, which they're brilliant. These guys, don't get me wrong, but it's the support team. It's the guys who are filling up the tanks. The guys who are making sure that the ropes are still connected. You've got guys who are organisation. And I actually had a very good friend of mine, Bruce. He was actually in charge of the ops, quite a high up figure there. And I had another mate of mine. Some people might have seen him in the papers. He's from Denmark, Klaus, or Santa Claus as we call him. He was on the support team, so he was going in there, making sure they had the stage tanks, etc. As for the rescue team, I didn't actually know any of those guys themselves. I've heard of names before. But unbelievable, the way they got those kids out, and it was not an easy job.
God, I mean, the mind over matter.
They only thought they was going to get a small percentage out, and to get 100% record, fair play to every person who was involved in that, right down to the Thai authorities. Very, again, they forget a lot about the Thais, but the Thais were such a big support on this. And I've seen a few problems, very few out here, and again, the Thais are great responding. They'll come out, the Navy or the Royal Thai Marine Police. Much respect to those guys. They really know what they're doing. I
must admit, like you were talking earlier on about the physical condition of your mind and how you've got to stay calm.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest with you, I'm reasonably good at claustrophobia. I'm not having too many issues with that. So if you put me in a confined space, I'll pretty much be okay. But to go into a cave with zero visibility, and you're not just going in a few yards, you're going, was it something like 3 kilometers?
Yes,
it was a long way.
Yeah.
And to then have to come back with zero visibility with the care of children, I mean...
It's a great burden. I mean, could I personally do that? I don't know. I mean, I'm trained going in shipwrecks. I haven't done the cave or the cabin training, but I've gone through most of the shipwrecks. And when we're in the wrecks, obviously you've got all your safety procedures. Everyone is completely briefed, so everybody knows what they're going to do. And it's great being in there. You see history, especially of some of these wrecks here, which was in World War II, Korea, Vietnam. You see where the guys used to bunk down, the kitchens, the heads, etc. But you have to be prepared, and everyone has to brief on the good aspect. And also, if it hits the fan, what do we do? And the main problems you get in wrecks is you get a blackout where the bubbles go up to the ceiling, and there's like a sill, and it just comes down. And you're in about visibility like this. Now, it sounds like it's the end of the world, but it's not, because you're trained to deal with it. So you just go to your training, and you'll sit there for a couple of minutes. The visibility clears. You're on the line, so you know exactly where your mates are, and then you proceed through. That's in 22 years of wreck diving. I think that's happened to me about 4 times.
Right, let's get away from all this technical stuff.
Let's get away from
these deep dives and this zero visibility. Let's go back to me in the paddling pool.
Okay.
So I'm going to come and do this. I looked on the website and I chose this course. I thought it was I thought it was within my limits.
Yep.
I thought it was a very, very good value. I know we're going to do this, and I'm going to make a video of this. So guys, if you are interested in having a go at this beginner stage basically, I will be bringing a video out soon to show you what's involved, because I'm really looking forward to it. In terms of what I'm going to be expected to do, and what is that initial dive course that I'm going to do?
Okay, it's called the PADI Discover Scuba Diving Experience. It's not actually a certification, but it can be credited towards the PADI Open Water course.
Okay.
As what they call is Dive 1. What happens is that we're going to give you full information, as I was saying previously, about the dive equipment.
Okay.
Basically what's going to happen to your body, etc. Once we get in the water, we go through the calming situation. We're in very shallow water, and we just hang on the surface, face in the water, and just get your breathing right. It's very important to calm your breathing down. Then we go into about 1.5 meters, 2 meters of clear water. Again, we go through a breathing exercise, just letting you relax. Then the instructors are great. The way PADI train us is that we do very clear, slow demonstrations, and we'll do this a few times. Then we'll do this, and the student would do it back, and if everything goes well, we give them a nice big okay. If the student's a little bit stressed, we'll gently bring him or her to the surface, have a chat, sit there and talk about what's bugging them, how can we overcome the objective. Once we've got them calm again, we'll go back down. Most people, they want to come up and have a little chat. So if you want to have a little chat on the surface, that's fine, all right? And we'll go through, because obviously underwater you can't talk, so we're very much trained, when we become instructors, through our dive master course and our instructor training, we're training on like expressions, facial. We've learned like the eyes start getting very big, he's not enjoying it. If you're sitting there laughing and everything, he's having a great time, that you can hear people laughing through the regulators, yeah. But the idea before we go onto the reef is calming, getting a person very chilled out in the water, then doing the skills. Now these skills are mandatory, they're not set by Real Divers, the dive industry, by PADI. It's for the student's safety and also the team safety, that you have to pass these 2 skills. Once the skills are completed, and we can go over them again and again to get the confidence factor up, gently what happens is you've got a tank on your back, and it's called a first stage. It's where the valve is and the regulator sits here. The instructor holds you here. If you was a blonde and blue lady, you could hold my hand there, yeah, but people are going to talk about a strip, yeah.
Really? Damn.
So I'll gently hold you like this, yeah, or we link on like this, mate.
Yeah.
And what we do is you just have to kick your legs and breathe.
Okay.
And look at the fish life. Once we do that, we normally go about, say, 6 meters, and we do it for about 30, 40 minutes max.
So I'm going to go 6 meters down.
Yep, 6, 7 meters down there, and we're just going to explore. And the whole time, you're going to have James. Now, James is a course director. He's the highest there is in PADI, so you've got the top bod with you. Unfortunately, mate, I'm going to be with you, so you've got the lower one with you, yeah. But you've got 2 very experienced instructors. Normally, we always have 2 of us in the water with the team, depending on how big the team is. We take no more than 4 students in. If we've got 4, we'll definitely have at least 2 to 3 members of staff in there.
Brilliant.
So the idea is to make you feel, yeah, this is great. This is a new world, and it will totally blow you away.
Will I see fish and stuff?
You'll
silly
see
question.
so
Will I
many
see
fish.
fish?
You won't necessarily see the huge fish, but there's so many small tropical, different coloured fish you'll see down there.
Brilliant.
When we get on the boat, we have a spot of lunch, relax, and we get you to talk and say, hey, you know, was there any issues? Did you enjoy it? Normally you'll find that the guys, some guys actually might say, I'm sorry, mate, I'm going to go snorkeling. And we go snorkeling, that's no worries. Some guys like, yeah, I'm ready to do this again. And then you say, would you like to go a bit deeper, etc. So when we do the second dive, it's at a different dive site, so you get to see 2 different locations.
Oh, brilliant.
We'll go in again, Jay will have the camera snapping away, I'll be holding on to you. Or what we do on this one, we go into a bit of sand. And on the boat, we give you a bit more information about how to control what they call your buoyancy. And we let you work it out on the sand. So if you put your hand down, you're not hurting yourself or the environment. Because once you've got your buoyancy control, it's like being an astronaut. You don't have that gravity. You can sort of cartwheel around and
Do you know, I think I've bitten off a bit more than I can chew it.
You're going to be easy. So it's actually really, PADI have designed this for 10 years old upwards. We've got junior 10 years old, and we've got a guy, we call him Yo-Yo. I use his nickname at the dive shop, Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo's 74, and he became a professional at 68.
Wow.
Which is take your cap off, because that's fair play.
Yeah.
And he's got like 600-700 dives now. And this guy, he's got this, we have diving logbooks where you record all the information and data. And this guy is like an encyclopedia. I've never seen a logbook like this. So we always say to guys, age is a number. As long as your fitness is there, you're not having any massive operations.
Yeah.
We have a basic medical which you go through, which we'll go through with you. Obviously, if someone put like a yes, then we have to go and see a doctor for their safety. And the doctor then looks at them and either says yay or nay, for whatever reason, you can dive in. Because we had one lad, he came in, he had very high blood pressure. And sometimes with the medication, it's tested at sea level. Underneath the water, it's a little bit like no man's land. So if we get a yes on any student record file from whatever level of training to PADI Discover Scuba Divers, we always see the doctor and get the doctor's advice and then take the next appropriate steps from there.
Well, you've put me on the spot now, because you know Neil's saying it's designed for a 10-year-old, so I can hardly not do it.
Pressure time.
All right, well listen, we're coming to the end of the interview, but before we finish, I just want to ask you one question.
Please
before
do.
we finish. I want you to think that there's every opportunity in the world available to you now. Where's the one place you'd love to go and dive that you haven't been to already?
Wow, that I would like to maybe, let me think now.
And one place you'd think, I'd love to go there and dive, but I've never had
I think it's the Barrier Reef, Australia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think that's a big dream for everyone. But there's so many areas that you could go to there. If you was into say like the wrecks, you might want to go to Truck Lagoon.
Okay.
Where there's all these sunken World War Japanese ships down there. It really is sort of like what your own gig is, what you're looking for. Me, I love the corals.
I think I'll stick to the swimming pool around the corner here. That'll do us.
There's only one thing. The most dangerous thing about scuba diving, it's very addictive. Once you go in and enjoy it, it'll bite you and you're going to want to continue your diving.
They said that about Pattaya now. I've been here 10 years.
There you go. They said that to me, mate. Yeah, it's 20
years
now.
It's been absolutely brilliant. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And you, mate. Glad to meet you.
Guys, if you are a novice or you're a beginner or you're an experienced diver, you know, all jokes aside, Neil's an extremely qualified dive instructor here. Come and get in touch. I'll put the links to their website and to get in touch with Neil. Come and have a look and see for yourself. It really is, what I can see is a paradise underwater. And I'm actually going to have a go at this later on in the not too distant future. And I hope that everything goes to plan, because I'm under pressure now. I'm under pressure. 10 years old, flipping hell. Oh man. All right, well that's it from us. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. And as I say, coming up in the not too distant future, I will be videoing the whole experience from the beginning to the very end, so that if you are interested and you're not quite sure, then I'm going to show you exactly what. And to be honest, guys, if I can do it, then so can you. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please remember, hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we bring out a new video. Check out our members area. More and more members are joining each and every week. And guys, get on our Discord group. There's so many people on there, like-minded people just like you, that have got a love for this beautiful city that Neil and I are fortunate enough to call home. All right, that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And please, as always, wherever you are in the world, stay safe.